like, man, I'm gonna make it. I literally walked in. I'm like, I got about a good 5 minutes in me. So let me see if they want it. I know that brother on the side. Hopefully he's saving up some dinner money from me, because I know that my appetite ready already, and I know he's saving up because I ain't going to Long John Silver's.
Hey, not wearing. See, how come he got a? You know what, y'all? He's rocking a Blackhawks jersey. He doesn't even want to wear the Bears anymore.
It's a bye week. It's a bye week. Everything I wear says Chicago or ASU, except them Cubs. So y'all didn't give me anyway. You had the master on, the guru, the draft man himself, Mr. Basketball.
Yes, how
that's
can
the wrong
not?
Dude. That's the wrong dude. Y'all have the wrong guy.
So before I go into the next segment, I want to get your take of the draft before we talk a little Suns and Chris Paul. PLR, tell me your take on it and your A plus and your F.
Okay, so I'm going to be the person that's no fun. I hate grading drafts because until you see a dude actually bounce the ball in the pros, it's hard for me to give a grade. I will say I like what the Suns did in getting a big. I know that was one thing I said they really needed because I really think Aaron Baines is going to walk, that they're not going to bring him back. So I wanted to see them go out and get a big. But if we talk about things that I like in the draft, I like Charlotte getting Melo Ball. I really do. I think he's just what they needed because out of all the brothers, he's the one that can actually play the best. So I'm interested in seeing what he's going to do in the NBA. So the draft itself, and I know you guys are going to say, oh, here he goes, but I didn't even get to watch all the draft because once the Suns picked, they moved us to that Zoom to talk to Jalen. And then after that Zoom, then I hopped on Believe in the Suns to talk about the Suns. And then finally that got over. And then they did a James Jones Zoom. So I really didn't get a chance to watch all the draft, to be perfectly honest with you.
A busy man you are.
Yeah, I had to work last night. Every now and then they make me do a little work.
So, Paul, you missed the 2 Wildcats that got picked in the first round.
Okay, so here's the honest truth. I'm not a Nico Mannion dude, right, at all. I thought Nico Mannion was overrated. So our boy C.J. Holmes, he's out in Philly now too. Keith, that's a cat that you should probably bump into. He works at the Athletic.
Yeah.
And, he's going to do stuff with Villanova now. And he used to do stuff with the Suns, and then he went down to Tucson. But I called him because he covered Nico Mannion covered Nico Mannion last year. And I was like, yo, man, tell me what's up because I haven't been high on Nico Mannion. Is this a good pick, especially going to Golden State? And he was like, yo, actually, he's surprisingly good. So not surprising to him, but surprising to everybody else. He's like, that's actually a good value pick. So as much as I don't want to say anything nice about that school in Tucson, if my man C.J. Holmes co-signs it, I got to back him up.
Oh, we got it on tape. Keeping that one.
I just listen to what I said. If he co-signs it, then I'm backing up. That's how y'all try to get me to say stuff nice about that school in Tucson or them whack-ass Cubs or so. I didn't even make it 5 minutes.
You don't like the Cubs?
Man, I hate the Cubs. I'm a White Sox fan.
Where you from in Chicago? South side?
No, I'm actually from the West Side.
You from the West Side?
I'm from the West Side. And I went to high school 6 blocks from Wrigley. And I can't stand them suckers. I'm a White Sox fan.
That's why you don't like them. That's how it normally is.
Explains a lot. So I cannot not cover this. We have to go into Chris Paul and the Suns, which sent Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio to Oklahoma City. We had some other, happenings transpired through there. Minnesota going, Ricky Rubio's going there, and some other dynamics into play. I want to get all of you to go ahead and give me a little synopsis and what your thoughts are, and just let it all out. Excitement, disappointment, however it is, how you see this Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns.
I like it. I'm a little disappointed that Chris Paul's with the Phoenix Suns because I like, I've been writing all year that the Sixers need to make a trade for him. And then the Sixers make a trade to not Phoenix, to OKC after Chris Paul left, right? The thing about Chris Paul isn't for everyone, right? Let's just get that out there. And the reason why he's not for everyone is because he's real. Like, he's the type of guy who's a leader. He has, what I keep saying, a high basketball IQ. And nowadays in the NBA, you get certain dudes who, they're not like the throwbacks. And what I mean by the throwbacks, these were guys who came in there, they wanted to work hard, they weren't making as much money as they do now, but they put in the work. Nowadays, you get some dudes who are like lifestyle guys, like, they just like they're celebrities, so to speak. And Chris Paul isn't that dude. Chris Paul is the type of guy that I think that young core that they have there, he's going to like, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. He's going to be one of those type guys. And it's going to probably rub some people the wrong way because they're like, well, who is this guy? But at the same time, wherever he goes, they win. To a point where, it's funny. Billy Donovan, good coach. And this year that team made the playoffs and everybody was hyping them up. And I said, but was it Billy Donovan or was it Chris Paul? You know what I mean? So Chris Paul has that effect. Now, another thing is for Phoenix that really intrigues me is, a lot of guys are paying attention to the 2-guard to see what happens next year. So a lot of people are hoping that Chris Paul, can basically convince him to stay in Phoenix as opposed to going to the New York Knicks. You know what I mean? So I like Chris Paul a lot, and I have more respect for him than probably any other player in the NBA. So I think that you guys are going to love him.
All right, so I'm glad you got me in because I know I hated to hop on late and I hate to jump early, and Ed and I were talking about this a little bit earlier on the Cave Show, and Keith, I'd love to get your take on this too. People are saying the Suns traded Chris Paul for all these people. They did not. They traded Chris Paul for Ricky Rubio because Kelly Oubre wants $20-some million a year. You now have Mikal Bridges and you have Cam Johnson combined making $9 million, and together they're better than Kelly, and they fit what the Suns do better than Kelly. And then you add Ty Jerome, and listen to me, Ed, no disrespect. I know I keep saying it like that, but Ty Jerome is slow. I don't think he could beat me in a foot race, and I'm not a young man at all, as you can see by the gray. And then they got a project and a 19-year-old kid. So you got a project that ain't going to play. Ty Jerome, who's not going to get in as a backup point guard behind the 2 guards that do 2 backup point guards they have already. Kelly Oubre, who they didn't want to pay, who don't fit the same. And now you just gave yourself a legitimate walking in the door Hall of Famer who is going to promptly put his foot on DeAndre Ayton's ass and make him a better player and make him work harder than he's ever worked in his life. And if you look at what, just take someone as easily as DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan came out of college as a dunker that could play a little bit of defense. He turned him into an all-star. That wasn't Doc. That was Chris Paul. So now he's coming here and he's going to play with a center that actually has talent. And with Devin Booker, who's an up-and-coming star, he just made the Suns legitimate just on the basis of Chris Paul not only coming here, but willing to come here and willing to make the Suns go to the next step. By going 8-0 in the bubble, that gave the Suns a little bit of legitimacy. And now you have the right coach, the right GM, and now you got your true point guard. That was the best trade that the Suns have made since they brought Charles Barkley here back in 1992.
I am too. I think it's a fantastic move, bringing in, like Paul said, a bona fide first ballot Hall of Famer. This man is going to come in and change the atmosphere, change the culture of the Phoenix Suns. They've already built a brand new training facility. They've already spent hundreds of millions of dollars to upgrade their arena. So this is a whole new chapter, a whole new change of the Phoenix Suns organization. and Chris Paul is going to be a huge part of it. I agree, Paul. He's going to get in DeAndre Ayton's tail. I'm gonna keep it a little bit more civil. Tail. Because you like to go over the edge. I stay close to the edge. I don't go over the edge. But I love it. I think Chris Paul and Devin Booker are going to be a great combination in that backcourt, and he's going to make Javon Carter and Cameron Payne and everybody on this roster that I'm looking at going to make him so much better. Jalen Smith, he's going to bring that young man in and just absolutely school him and make him better again. They've got a month before the season comes, so why not learn from one of the best point guards to ever do this thing, in Chris Paul? Like we said, a first ballot Hall of Famer, most definitely he's walking into the Hall of Fame. Anybody who does not vote for Chris Paul, you're a fool for a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you're right. And let me say this, like, we talk about people saying, well, they gave up this person, they gave up that person. The Chris Paul trade was for three people. It was for the coach, it was for Aiden, and it was for Booker. At first, I just said that you're two guard, but I'm talking about Booker, right? The thing is, Booker, you look at him, there was times when I came to Phoenix and I saw frustration. Like, you see him doing whatever he could, and there was frustration. Now he gets a guy who is like, wow, this guy is great. This guy is going to help me. And Aiden, you know what I mean? Sometimes you're a big dude and, you go through the motions sometimes. Sometimes you need, like you said, you need somebody that's going to give you that kick. And everyone knows that, and it's only going to make them better. I mean, we're talking about two guys right here that are going to be phenomenal. One of them is already, but if Aiden comes to play, he can live up to his potential. And then the one thing that you said, Paul, is they got rid of these dudes. Man, it's all I know is Devin Booker is the franchise. You got to keep that guy happy. And as good as those other dudes were, they're not going to take the shots. It's Devin Booker. So they weren't going to be happy anyway because they wanted to get paid. So that's who you make the trade for, because you got to keep Devin Booker happy. I'm sorry, you do.
And it's the first time Devin Booker has had someone on his level that he's playing with since he's been with the Suns. There's not been another. If you look at the landscape of the NBA, stars like to play with other dudes that can play. You have look, Golden State, Clay and Steph, LeBron with AD. Guys like to play with guys that can play. It's nice to carry the water for a while, but after a while, you get tired of carrying a bucket, and there's some nights you want to pass it off to someone else. Devin Booker has that opportunity now to be able to, if he's having an off night, not worry about crap. I got to figure out a way because now Chris Paul is there. And that makes a big difference. It helps you a lot, especially when you got to fly through 72 games with that COVID devil hanging over your head. Man, this is going to be a whole different season. Yeah.
And we're living in a desert, clearly. And for at least the last decade, it's been a desert for the Phoenix Suns as far as attracting free agents.
Come on now, man. What? Ed, see, we on a positive, and here you go again.
It is going to a positive. Let me explain this. So it's been a desert as far as free agents and people desiring to come to the Phoenix Suns for the last decade because they haven't won. But now that they got Chris Paul, they spent all this money on his facility. They spent all this money to upgrade the arena. Things are changing. And now that Chris Paul is here, any potential free agent's going to look at the Phoenix Suns like, hey, man, if Chris Paul wants to come and play for the Phoenix Suns, man, why can't I come and play? You've got Devin Booker there. You've got a rising star in DeAndre Ayton. You've got Monty Williams, one of the best young head coaches in the league. You've got James Jones, one of the best young general managers in the league. You've got Robert Sarver, who's back in the he's chilling back in the cut, signing paychecks now. He's not in the forefront actually disrupting things. So people are seeing that the Phoenix Suns are changing as an organization, and this is going to make it more desirable for any free agents who are thinking, I don't know if I want to go to Phoenix. Now they're like, oh, the Suns. Let me put them on my itinerary. Let me jump on the plane and go meet with James Jones and Monty Williams.
All right, man, just stop messing with my narcotic, man. You start talking about my narcotic, you get me a little antsy.
I know.
I started covering this team the year after they made the playoffs last, so I have yet to cover a playoff NBA game ever. So I'm in a little bit of a dry spell, Even the Diamondbacks gave me a playoff. The Suns ain't gave me no playoffs, a whole bunch of wait till next year's. It's amazing though what happens. It's amazing what happens with an organization, in all seriousness.